The afternoon sun lay heavy over Marché Solomon, spreading through the air like warm gold poured across the stalls. The marketplace was alive with the voices of Port-au-Prince, vendors calling out prices, radios playing compa through crackling speakers, children weaving through the crowd with mangoes in their hands, tap-tap buses rattling past with painted saints and dusty windows. But amid all that noise, there was a space where the air went still. Fabiola stood just beyond the pepper stalls, her basket balanced against her hip, her breath held somewhere high in her chest. The sound of life continued around her, but inside her, something was tightening, a string pulled too many times, weakening, ready to snap. Not 10 steps away, Gerald, her husband, was speaking with a vendor. The vendor was an older woman with tired but kind eyes, her table stacked with piment bouc, tomatoes, and limes. There was nothing wrong with the scene. The conversation seemed simple, polite, ordinary. But Gerald was smiling. Not a wide smile. Not flirtation. Not even joy. Just a soft, respectful, warm smile, the kind people use to show gentleness. But to Fabiola, it was the past coming to breathe again. That smile. She remembered it. It was the smile he used to give her in quiet mornings, in soft laughter, in small touches to her back as he walked by. It was the smile that used to belong only to her. And now, her heart, bruised, fragile, still healing but not healed, felt struck like a drum hit too hard. Her steps moved before her mind could catch them. Basket in hand, she walked toward him slowly, steadily, every muscle held tight to keep from shaking. The vendor noticed first, stepping back a fraction, sensing the shift in the air. Gerald turned. For a second, one small second, his eyes widened in surprise. To a wounded heart, surprise looks like guilt. Gerald, she said, soft, controlled, but her voice had the tremor of something breaking beneath the surface. Yes, he answered, his tone gentle, neutral, careful, the way a man speaks while walking barefoot on glass. I was just buying peppers. Fabiola finished the sentence for him. A slow, too even smile touched her lips. Not warmth, not humor. A mask only love can recognize as pain. Yes, he said again, more carefully now. For dinner. The street around them did not know their story. It kept moving. Goats bleating nearby, taxi drivers calling destinations, music floating like questions through the heat. But their world had gone silent. Dinner, Fabiola repeated, her breathing growing uneven, her fingers tightening on the basket's handle until the woven straw pressed harsh lines into her palm. Dinner. Her eyes were shining, not with anger at first, but with hurt. Hurt that had never really left her. Hurt that lived beneath her ribs like a second heart. The vendor looked between them, then quietly stepped back. She had seen this kind of silence before. Port-au-Prince hears more heartbreak than the sea hears confessions. Is that what you told her, too? Fabiola asked. There it was. The wound. Open again. Gerald's face didn't twist with guilt or defensiveness. It fell, gently, sorrowfully, the face of a man who has been trying to rebuild a house while someone else is still inside it during the earthquake. Fabiola. He spoke her name like a prayer. I am not that man anymore. Her voice shook, breaking down the middle like wood splitting under weight. But I am not the same woman anymore either. The basket slipped from her hand. Tomatoes tumbled into the dust. A pepper rolled until it hit Gerald's foot. The city kept breathing around them. But something inside them was choking. Not hate, not anger, but a love that no longer knew how to carry its own weight. And this, my friends, is where our story begins, not when love was whole, but when love was trying not to die. Welcome to the Haiti Folktale channel. Like, subscribe. Before the fracture, before the trembling mistrust, before Gerald's mistake and Fabiola's wound, there was a beginning. And like most beginnings worth remembering, it was not grand, but quiet. They met on a Sunday morning outside Église Sacré-Cœur, where the air smelled of starched white dresses, after-service cologne, and the faint sweetness of fritai stands setting up along the street. The choir had just finished singing, and sunlight lay across the church steps like blessing poured from the sky. Fabiola had dropped a small leather-bound notebook. She didn't notice. She was adjusting her shawl, laughing with another woman from service. But Gerald noticed. He picked it up, and when she turned, their hands brushed. Something passed between them. Not lightning, not fire, but recognition. The recognition of a soul seeing another soul and remembering something forgotten long ago. "You dropped this," he said. "Thank you," she replied, her voice carrying a kind of soft melody that lingered in the air after her words finished. He didn't walk away, not out of boldness, but because something held him there, unseen, quiet, insistent. "You sing in the choir," he said. "Yes. I could tell," he answered, with the smallest smile. She didn't know what he meant. Not yet, but later she would understand. He meant she carried grace in her posture, light in her presence, music in her spirit. Some people do not need to speak loudly to be felt deeply. They began seeing each other without planning to. Passing near the same vendors. Leaving church at the same time. Stopping to talk beneath the flame tree near the corner. Their conversations were not loud, not rushed. They unfolded like dawn, slowly, gently, inevitably. He told her about his family in Gressier, about struggling to find stability in the city, about working at an automotive shop that barely paid him enough to live, let alone dream. She told him about her work, traveling to Santo Domingo and Panama, buying goods to resell in Haiti, waking before the sun to catch border buses, negotiating in open-air markets where sweat and ambition mixed in the heat. "You're brave," he told her once. "I just do what I must," she answered. "No," he said. "You dream. There is strength in that." She looked at him then, really looked, and saw a man who had learned to endure life instead of shape it. A man who needed not saving, but believing in. So she believed, and that belief lit something inside him. For the first time, he allowed himself to think, maybe I can become more. Together, they grew, not with passion that burns fast and dies, but with warmth that roots deep and holds. And that is why the story is heartbreaking. Because the deeper the foundation, the deeper the fracture. Before the betrayal, before suspicion turned love into something trembling and sharp, there was a time when Fabiola was Gerald's shelter, the ground that steadied him, the wind that lifted him, the hands that shaped him. When Gerald first began working at the automotive parts shop in Delmas 33, it was a narrow place, dusty shelves stacked with mufflers and carburetors, a cracked radio always playing compa in the background, and a boss who measured loyalty by how much sweat a man left on the floor. Gerald was good, hard-working, steady, but the shop paid him little more than survival. Enough to eat, to rent a room, to iron his shirts, and to dream small. Fabiola saw something else in him. She had already built her own independence by then. While many in the neighborhood admired her for her beauty, those who truly understood life admired her for something far rarer, her courage. For years, she had been traveling between Haiti, Santo Domingo, and Panama, bringing back suitcases of shoes, fabric, hair products, and electronics. She negotiated prices in markets full of sharp tongues and keen eyes. She crossed borders where paperwork was slow and suspicion was quick. And she did it with grace. Never bragging, never loud, simply steady, reliable, respected. When she listened to Gerald speak, she did not hear a man of small means. She heard a man with potential. "You know engines well," she told him once, as they sat on the gallery, watching the city lights flicker like candles along the hills. "Not just how they work, how they fail, where they strain, how they breathe. Not everyone sees machines the way you do." Gerald laughed, embarrassed. "It's just a job." "No," she said, tapping her finger softly against his chest. "It is knowledge. And knowledge can grow." Those words planted something inside him. Before long, she did more than speak belief into him, she acted. She took him with her on one of her trips. Across the border to Santo Domingo, riding the long road past the dry plains, watching the sky widen into a blue so large it made a man feel small. She showed him how she talked to vendors, how she picked quality, how she negotiated without showing desperation. She introduced him to traders who sold auto parts cheaper and cleaner than anything in Port-au-Prince. Think bigger, she told him. Why buy what is already in the market, she asked, when you can bring what the market does not yet have? She helped him select a small shipment. Not much, just a few alternators, spark plugs, radiators, paid partly with her savings and partly with trust. When they returned to Haiti, Gerald sold every piece within 2 weeks. For the first time in his life, he held profit, real profit, in his hands. He looked at her differently after that day. Not as a woman who stood beside him, but as a woman who lifted him. A woman who looked at a man who was surviving and saw a man who could build. They grew together. She continued to travel. He continued to expand. Work that used to feel heavy now felt meaningful. Dreams that once seemed distant now felt possible. Soon, his name began to carry weight in the neighborhood. Gerald has quality parts. He's reliable. He doesn't play with people's money. Respect followed him. Not the loud respect of status. The quiet respect of reliability, the kind a man can stand on. And through it all, Fabiola stood beside him. When he doubted himself, she believed. When business slowed, she strategized. When he felt tired, she encouraged. Love is not just sweetness, my friends. Sometimes, love is investment. Love is risk. Love is seeing what someone can become, and choosing to walk beside them as they rise. So when the betrayal came, it was not only a crack in the heart. It was a crack in the foundation of everything they had built together. It did not happen with passion. It did not happen with deep desire. It did not happen because Gerald stopped loving Fabiola. Betrayal rarely happens that way. It happened in a season of strain. The neighborhood had been talking, quietly, carefully, but loudly enough that the echoes reached their home. Gerald's business was growing. He was making deals, meeting clients, delivering parts, managing relationships. People respected him, but respect in Haiti is not gentle. It comes with expectations, with pressure, with eyes watching you from every side. He began staying later at the shop. Not because he wanted to. Because survival demanded it. Meanwhile, Fabiola was preparing for one of her longest trips, 3 weeks between Santo Domingo and Panama, securing a large shipment that would expand both of their businesses. They kissed goodbye at the bus station. Her last words, spoken with a smile. Take care of yourself. His last words, spoken softly. I am here, always. But absence, even temporary, can expose what hearts have not healed within themselves. The shop hired a new clerk, a young woman named Nadege. Quiet, pleasant, efficient. She sorted invoices, made calls, wrote receipts. There was nothing flirtatious between them. Nothing intentional. Nothing dangerous. But one evening, when a supplier delayed a shipment and Gerald felt his chest tighten with frustration, Nadege was there. She asked, "Are you okay?" She didn't touch him. She didn't lean close. She simply listened. And sometimes, listening is the most seductive act of all. Not because of desire, but because Gerald was tired. And tired people make foolish decisions. One evening became one drink. One drink became one moment suspended between loneliness and longing for comfort. It should have ended there. But the human heart is fragile when it is tired. It happened once. Not love. Not passion. Not even lust. Escape. An escape he regretted the moment breath returned to him. When Fabiola came home weeks later, smiling, tired, carrying bags full of goods and dreams, he felt himself shatter inside. He held her. He kissed her. But guilt sat behind his eyes like a shadow. And guilt is a poor liar. It took only 3 days for her to feel it. Not proof, not evidence, just intuition. The instinct of a woman who has poured her soul into a man. She asked no questions at first. She watched. She listened. She felt. Until finally, one evening, in the quiet of their home, with the fan humming and the city murmuring beyond the windows, she said, "Gerald, tell me the truth. Not because I ask, but because my spirit already knows." And he told her. He did not defend himself. He did not make excuses. He did not soften the edges. He spoke the truth, and the truth broke them. She did not scream. She did not throw anything. She did not curse him. She simply cried. Not loudly, not wildly, but with the soft, devastating heartbreak of someone who has been wounded where love lives. The kind of tears that fall without sound, but echo loudly inside the chest of the one who caused them. Her forgiveness was not dramatic. She simply said, "I love you too much to leave you. But something inside me has been hurt. And I do not know how to heal it yet." This is where many think the story ends. But this is where the real story begins. Forgiveness was spoken, but forgiveness spoken is not forgiveness lived. After the betrayal, life in their home did not shatter dramatically. There were no slammed doors, no broken dishes, no shouted threats. No, the pain settled into the spaces between words. It lived in glances, in the pace of breathing, in the silence before sleep. Gerald tried, truly tried. He stopped going out after work. He stopped sharing jokes with coworkers that could be misunderstood. He guarded his tone, his gestures, his time. He chose transparency the way a man chooses prayer. If his phone rang, he answered near her. If he stepped outside, he told her where and why. If someone spoke to him in the street, he made sure his body language said nothing except respect. But healing is not something one person can push into existence alone. Because the wound was not only in actions. The wound was in memory. At first, Fabiola tried to hide it. The way her heart would clench when he stepped out of the house. The way fear crawled into her mind when she saw him speaking to someone else. The way suspicion rose like smoke every time his phone vibrated. She did not want to doubt him. Doubt came on its own. One night, they sat at the small table in their home, eating in silence. The fan spun slowly above, pushing warm air in circles. The city outside was alive, but their home felt like a still room deep underwater. Gerald cleared his throat. "Fabiola, talk to me." She took a slow breath. "I don't know how," she whispered. "What part?" he asked softly. "The part of me that believed everything you said." Without questioning, she died that night. He looked at her the way a man looks at a grave he dug with his own hands. "I know," he said. "No excuses. No explanations. Just truth. I want to trust you," she continued, voice trembling. "I want to feel safe again. I want to be the woman who looked at you and saw home, not danger." Her eyes lifted to his. "But every time you walk away, even 5 minutes, my heart burns. Not from anger, from fear." That was the first time the wound was spoken out loud. Fear. Not jealousy. Not control. Not suspicion. Fear of being betrayed again. Gerald took her hand. Not to fix, but to be present. "Tell me what you need," he said. She did not know. And that hurt even more. Because love without direction is a boat without an oar. So they tried their best with what they had. Some nights they talked until their voices cracked. Some nights they slept back to back, hurting but close. Some days they laughed and remembered who they were before. Some days a single glance reopened everything. Healing is not a straight road. Healing is a circle you walk until your feet learn peace. One afternoon, Fabiola went to the market alone. The sun was strong. She bought onions, cilantro, peppers, plantains. Everything ordinary. But ordinary things became heavy when the heart was tired. And that was the day of the marketplace breakdown, the day her fear finally overflowed into public air. Seeing Gerald smile, even politely, was enough to pull her back into the memory of betrayal. Not because he had done something wrong, but because the past had never been laid to rest. Their love was now two people holding each other while standing in the ruins of a house they both wanted to rebuild, but did not yet know how. And the truth is this. Love does not die from betrayal. Love dies when the heart is too wounded to believe that safety is possible again. But the story does not end here. Because sometimes, the heart that broke, learns to soften again. And sometimes, the one who caused the wound, learns how to become gentle enough to help heal it. It was the week after the marketplace. The house was quiet, not angry quiet, not cold quiet, just exhausted quiet. The kind of quiet that comes after a storm heavy enough that both the sky and the earth need time to breathe. Gerald sat on the gallery in the evening light. The sky was turning violet. A dog barked somewhere down the street. A radio played Arlie Lariviere softly from a neighbor's window, and the lyrics carried something that felt too close. Why do you say you love me, if your love does not know how to stay? He closed his eyes. He remembered everything. The first time he saw her drop that notebook. The first time she called his name softly. The first night they stayed up talking until dawn. The first time she believed in his dream when he did not yet have one. He remembered how she took him across the border, showed him how to negotiate, how to think bigger than survival. How she stood beside him when customers still questioned his prices. How she woke before dawn to catch buses so they could have a life with choices. How she wore strength like a dress sewn from resilience and prayer. She did not just love him. She built him. And he, in his weakness, had taken that love and cracked it. Not out of desire, not out of lack, but out of foolishness and carelessness, and not understanding the weight of what he had been given. His chest tightened, not with guilt, he had carried guilt before. This was something deeper. This was remorse, the kind that reshapes a man from the inside. He realized, if he lost her, he would not just lose a wife. He would lose the ground beneath him, the roof above him, the future ahead of him. He would lose the woman who knew his heart in the dark. He stood, walked inside, found her in the bedroom, sitting at the edge of the bed, braiding her hair slowly, quietly, the way women do when they are thinking too much. He kneeled in front of her. Not dramatically, not theatrically, just honestly. "Fabiola," he said, voice low, steady. She looked at him, tired, hurting, but still loving. "I broke something sacred," he said. "Not just trust. Not just loyalty. I broke the faith of the woman who made me who I am." Her eyes filled, not with pain this time, but with the soft ache of being seen. "I cannot undo what I did. I cannot erase your memory. I cannot demand your healing. But I can earn it." His voice did not shake. "I will not leave. I will not give up. I will not defend myself. I will not rush your heart. I will learn how to hold your wounded places gently. Even if it takes years." Her hands loosened. Her breath trembled. Her chest rose like a tide beginning to calm. He lowered his head. "Let me love you in the way that does not ask you to forget, but helps you feel safe again." A tear fell. Not from grief, from release. And for the first time since the betrayal, Fabiola believed, maybe love could still live. Healing did not arrive like rain. It did not wash the past away in one night. Healing came slowly, the way morning light creeps through curtains before the sun fully rises. After Gerald made his vow, after he kneeled and spoke not with pride, but with humility, something shifted between them. Not a sudden peace, not a miracle, something more fragile, but more true. Willingness. The willingness to try again. And that, my friends, is where healing truly begins. Small days first. The next morning, Gerald woke before dawn. He didn't speak. He didn't make speeches. He simply stepped into the kitchen and began preparing breakfast, rice soaking, onions frying, coffee simmering slow and rich. When Fabiola woke, she didn't announce forgiveness. She simply sat across from him. They ate together, in silence. But it was soft silence, not sharp silence. The difference is everything. He walked with her again. When she went to the market to buy goods, he walked with her. Not to control, not to prove loyalty, just to be present. When she bargained with vendors, he watched with admiration, remembering the first time he saw her command a negotiation like a queen of commerce. He had always known she was strong. But now, he understood the weight she carried. And admiration is part of love's deepest healing. He traveled with her sometimes. On her next trip to Santo Domingo, he went with her. Not to monitor, not to follow, but to walk beside her again the way they did when they were dreaming. On the bus, they sat shoulder to shoulder. No words needed. At the border, he carried the heavy bags. In the markets, he helped count stock. At night, they sat outside the hotel, talking softly, watching the headlights sweep across distant highways. She did not lean on him yet. But she did not turn away from him either. Healing rarely looks like grand gestures. Healing looks like consistency. He learned to notice her again. He noticed her silences. He noticed when her heart began to clench. He noticed the way her eyes flickered when fear rose inside her. He didn't say, "It's okay, you're overreacting." "No," he said, "I'm here." Sometimes, he would place his hand gently over hers, not grabbing, not claiming, just offering presence. And sometimes, she accepted. Other times, she pulled her hand away. But each time, his hand remained open. That is how trust is rebuilt. Not by proving your innocence, but by proving your presence. The first real shift, it happened one evening. They were closing the shop. The sun was low, painting the sky orange with fading heat. A customer, an old friend of Gerald's, joked too loudly, touched Gerald's shoulder while laughing. Fabiola's chest tightened. Her throat closed. Her hands trembled. She waited for jealousy to burn. She waited for anger to rise. She waited to feel abandoned. But when Gerald turned to her, his eyes were already on her. Not on the noise. Not on anyone else. Her. And in his eyes, there was no guilt to hide. No shame. No restlessness. Only love. Steady, present, grounding. Her breath softened. For the first time in months, she did not feel afraid. She reached for his hand. Not because the wound was gone, but because the wound had begun to close. Months passed. Not fast, but honest. They learned each other again, like two souls meeting after wandering different roads. Their home, once filled with echoing silence, now carried gentle laughter again. Not the careless laughter of before, but the slow, deeply rooted laughter of two people who had survived something difficult together. One evening, they stood outside on the gallery, watching the city lights flicker along the hillside like candles in a cathedral. The air was cool. The sky was deep blue. The world felt quiet and real. Fabiola leaned her head against his shoulder, for the first time in a very long time. Gerald did not move. He did not speak. He simply let himself be trusted again. After a long moment, she whispered, "Gerald, do you love me?" He did not answer with words. He turned, lifted her hand, and kissed the places where her heart had been wounded, the soft space between thumb and palm. "I love you," he said quietly, the way the sea loves the shore, pulling back sometimes, but always returning. Always. Her eyes softened, not because the past had vanished, but because love had grown stronger than the past. And that, my friends, is how some loves survive. Not by forgetting what broke them, but by becoming strong enough to carry the memory without fear. The lesson. Listen closely now. Betrayal wounds, but distrust kills. If two hearts are to survive a wound, one must truly repent. One must truly release. And both must choose each other again. Every single day. Love is not proven by words. Love is proven by consistency, presence, patience, gentleness. They did not return to the love they had before. They built a new love, deeper, wiser, rooted in understanding. And sometimes, that is the more beautiful kind. Thank you for listening. If this story moved you, like the video and subscribe for more. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We love seeing our family from everywhere. Until next time, Haiti Folktale.